Inside the soft glow of the hut, they sat tangled on the woven mat, chests bare-pressed, legs wrapped like vines, breath sinking in slow, dangerous rhythm. Galani's hand rested firmly on Adisa's thigh, gripping it like he owned it. Adisa held Galani's cheek, thumb brushing that sculpted jawline with worship. "You were made for this," Galani whispered, "to mold me, then melt for me." Adisa let out a breathy laugh, eyes heavy with mischief. "And you were made to ruin me." One deep stare, one forbidden moan that made the walls of the hut feel too small for the fire between them. And outside, the wind carried a whisper through the village. "Hey, beautiful people, welcome back to the channel, where folk tales meet fantasy and desire dares to bloom. If you're new here, make yourself at home. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you never miss a single moment of the magic. Now get ready, because what you're about to watch is hotter, deeper, and wilder than anything you've felt before. Let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a village nestled in the folds of red hills and tall grasses, where the wind whispered old songs and the moon always seemed a little too close. Ogoloma. And there, in that village, lived a boy named Adisa. Adisa never quite fit in. He wasn't like the other boys who ran after cattle or carved spears with their fathers. He wasn't like the girls either, though he painted his lips soft brown when he felt like it. Adisa was something else, something beautiful, dangerous, and hard to name. His skin looked dipped in roasted shea, smooth, dark, and glowing, even when the sun was hiding. When he walked through the village square, silence would sometimes follow, not because of fear, but because no one, not even the gossiping women by the palm trees, could look away. He didn't speak much, but when he did, his voice was soft, measured, like warm rain falling on a hut roof. And when he laughed, which was rare, it felt like a blessing too intimate to deserve. Most people didn't understand him, but they looked. Oh, they looked. But behind his mother's hut, where the clay soil was rich and red, Adisa spent most of his days, his knees dirty, his chest bare, sculpting things no one ever asked for. Clay bodies, male bodies, silent sleeping statues of men, some with wide shoulders and thick necks, others with tight waists and gentle lips. He said nothing about them. He never had to. Long ago, before Adisa was even born, an elder stood in the center of the village, his back bent like a bow and his voice cracked from age. He spoke of a time to come, a time when a man would shape his own love with his hands, from soil, from water, from breath, and that love would rise, not just with life, but with soul, a man so perfect, so full of heat and hunger, that people would whisper when he walked. Most laughed. Some said the elder had gone mad, others said he was just lonely. But the story stayed, like smoke on old clothes. It lingered in the air of Ogoloma, and though many forgot, Adisa never did. He remembered every word. He held on to them like a secret song. At night, when the moon climbed high and the village went quiet, Adisa would sit by the clay and close his eyes, and in that stillness he would picture the man, not just any man, his man, tall, warm brown skin, broad shoulders, heavy arms, strong enough to lift a tree, but gentle enough to touch a heart. Eyes shaped like almonds, the kind of eyes that could look at you once and undo every part of you. Lips thick and deep, the kind that made promises before even speaking, and a voice low, slow, and dangerous, like thunder hiding under velvet. But most of all, a soul that was his. Someone who would look at Adisa, not with confusion or caution, but with want, with hunger, with recognition, like they were made for each other. Adisa had sculpted many like him, but none ever moved. Still, he couldn't stop, because in every curve of clay, in every chest, every thigh, every smile he pressed into the earth, he left behind a piece of his hope, a hope too wild to speak aloud, a hope that maybe, just maybe, the old man's story was true, and one day his hands would shape more than just a statue. They would shape a heartbeat. The night was thick. Soft winds passed over the village like whispers, and the moon looked full enough to burst. Adisa sat on the floor of his clay hut, shirt off, chest rising and falling like waves on a restless sea. His palms were already slick with water. His thighs glistened with sweat, but tonight wasn't like every other night. Tonight, he wasn't just sculpting. He was confessing. He touched the clay like it was alive. He started at the chest strong and wide. He pressed into it gently, shaping muscle with the curve of his fingers, like he was remembering how it would feel to lie against it. Then the neck, thick, solid and kissable. Then the lips, soft, thick, parted slightly like they were always ready for a kiss, or a secret, or a sin. Adisa paused. His heart was pounding. His skin felt hot, and he could barely breathe. He whispered, "Please, if you're real, if there's magic left in this world, let him come to me. Let me have him, just once." Then he shaped the legs, long and carved like they were made to walk toward him. The arms big enough to lift him off the ground, and gentle enough to hold him like glass. And finally, the hands. Adisa held them in his own for a long time. He didn't want to let go. When he stepped back, the clay figure stood tall, glistening under the firelight. It wasn't just perfect, it was his. Adisa's chest tightened, his throat burned with unsaid words. "I name you, Galani," he whispered. His voice shook, as if the name carried something heavy, something holy. "You are strength, you are mine." Then he knelt in front of him, the statue, breathing heavy, tears on his cheeks, sweat on his skin, and somewhere, far beyond the clay walls of his hut, something shifted. The night after Adisa sculpted the figure, he couldn't sleep. He tossed, turned, sweated through his sheets. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw that face, Galani's face. Not frozen, not still, but alive, blinking, smiling, watching him. He sat up suddenly, heart racing. The hut was quiet, too quiet. No crickets, no frogs, just the sound of his breath, shallow and fast. He reached for his water gourd and froze. The sculpture had moved, only slightly, but it had. The head, which he'd left tilted slightly down, was now straight, facing him. Adisa stood up slowly, heartbeat thundering in his chest. "No, no, no, no," he whispered. "It's not possible." He stepped closer, bare feet brushing over the cool floor. The firelight flickered. Shadows danced across Galani's sculpted face, but something had changed. There was softness now, like warmth had seeped into the clay. His lips looked fuller, his jaw more defined. His chest, the kind of chest you could fall asleep on and forget your name. Adisa reached out and touched the statue's cheek. It was warm, not warm like sun-kissed clay, warm like skin. He stumbled back. "Is this real?" His voice cracked. "Did I make this, or did I call it?" His eyes filled with tears, not out of fear, but wonder. This wasn't madness. This was magic, and he had done it. His longing had made something real. He stared at Galani's lips. His own burned, and for the first time in years, Adisa smiled. Wide, messy, full of disbelief and hope. If you are who I think you are, he whispered, voice trembling, then I'll wait. I'll wait until you're ready to come to me. And with that, he sat across from the figure, legs crossed, heart pounding, waiting for a miracle to speak. The night was thick with silence. Adisa stayed seated on the hut floor, eyes locked on the sculpture, now more a presence than an object. The candles had burned down. The fire was barely glowing, but still, the figure seemed to breathe. He wiped his eyes. Maybe he was dreaming. Maybe this was just what loneliness did when it had nowhere else to go. But just as he was about to lay down, a sound, not loud, just a shift. A small crack in the air. His eyes snapped open. The statue's chest had risen. Adisa leapt to his feet, heart in his throat. His hands trembled, but his feet didn't move. He couldn't look away. And then, a slow exhale. The figure, Galani, released a soft breath, like someone taking their first breath of life. Adisa's body was frozen, but his soul was dancing. A warmth filled the room that wasn't from the fire. Adisa dropped to his knees. The tears came fast, quiet, like water finally finding a crack. And then, as if the moment required it, he whispered, Galani. He didn't know why. He hadn't planned the name. It had just come, like the wind knew it before he did. Your name is Galani, he said again, this time louder, firmer. The figure twitched, a flicker in the fingers, a gentle curl of the toes. Strong, powerful, Adisa whispered, but kind, beautiful. The words rolled out of him like silk. Galani, you are everything I dreamed of. Not just a man, but the answer to the hunger I've lived with all my life. He reached forward and gently cupped the side of Galani's face. It felt warmer now, almost human. I don't care what this is, magic, madness, blessing. You are mine now, and I am yours. There was no lightning, no dramatic flash, but Adisa felt it, the bond, the pulse between them. And as he leaned closer, his hand pressed against Galani's chest, he whispered again, you are real. Even after it was very late into the night, Adisa was still wide awake, sitting close watching Galani, the way one would watch a dream that might disappear if they blinked too long. The air had changed. It was softer now, warmer. Can you hear me? Adisa whispered, crawling closer. Galani. No answer, but Adisa saw it. A single tear had formed from the man's eye, a shimmer rolling down smooth clay skin that looked too human. It made his throat tighten. Are you alive in there? Adisa asked, trembling now. Did I make you, or did you choose me? He placed his palm over Galani's chest again, the way he did last night, but this time the warmth pulsed back. A light thump, a heartbeat, not steady, but present. Adisa gasped softly, lips parting. You're real. Oh gods, you're real. Then, suddenly, Galani's hand moved. Not a twitch. It lifted. Clay cracked faintly at the joints as the arm rose, fingers curling like new leaves uncurling from a branch. It reached toward Adisa, slow, shaky. Adisa didn't move. His breath caught. Galani's hand cupped the side of Adisa's face, tender, unsure, yet intentional. Adisa melted. I knew it, Adisa whispered, voice barely air. I made you with love, with longing, with everything I couldn't say out loud. And then, softly, hoarsely, deeply, Galani spoke. You called me Galani. Adisa's eyes snapped open, flooded with emotion. Yes, he whispered, tears falling, a smile trembling on his lips. That's your name. It had to be. The clay man breathed deeper. His other hand moved. A curl at first. Then it dropped to Adisa's waist. Bold, steady, claiming. Adisa's chest heaved. The space between them thickened. With silence, with desire, with the weight of something ancient and new at once. Galani whispered again, slower this time. You dreamed me. Yes, Adisa said, crawling onto his lap now, resting his forehead to Galani's. There was no sound in the room, only breath and flickering fire. Adisa sat beside Galani on the reed mat, his body warm and pulsing, his fingers gently brushing against Galani's wrist. It was meant to be comfort, but the moment skin met skin, the air changed. Galani froze. His eyes flickered like a candle in wind. He sat up slowly, spine stiff, chest rising and falling faster than before. And then, he whispered, "The wind. I can hear it again. The drums far away. I can hear them." His voice trembled, his hand pressed to his heart, like something ancient was knocking from inside. Then came the silence, deep and strange, as if the room itself was listening. Adisa leaned closer. "What is it?" Galani didn't answer at first. He just stared ahead, past the walls, past the lamp, past this life. And then, like thunder rolling out of a quiet sky, he spoke. "I remember a river. I remember my past life. I was born with soft eyes and a restless spirit. I was not allowed to love freely or to express my feelings for other boys back then, and I died before I ever tasted love." Adisa's breath caught in his throat. Galani turned to him, slow and full of wonder. "I was buried without ever being kissed by someone who made my chest rise like this." He placed a hand over his heart, over the beat that wasn't supposed to exist anymore. "And now, I'm back. Not by accident. I heard your voice, Adisa. Your longing, your need, your wish. And from the place beyond the fire, beneath the dust of the ancestors," his eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow but awe. "You didn't just mold a man. You called me home." The flame in the lamp danced. The shadows on the wall moved like spirits bearing witness. Adisa reached out, slowly, and cupped Galani's face. He said nothing, because what do you say when you realize the one you've longed for all your life was longing to live just to find you? Their foreheads met. Just the soft touch of skin, a moment as sacred as any prayer. And Galani closed his eyes and whispered, "This time I want to feel it all. I want to love and be loved without having to hide from anyone." The village was quiet, but not calm. Something electric pulsed beneath the morning breeze, a current no one could explain, but everyone could feel. A few women whispered to each other at the stream, giggling as they fetched water slower than usual. "Have you seen him?" one of them breathed, eyes wide. "That body, that face, where did Adisa find such a man?" Galani passed through the village that day, the sun catching the curve of his jaw, the glisten of his skin, the deep, slow rhythm of his breath. Even the men stared long after he disappeared down the path, feeling a pull none of them could resist. And later, back at Adisa's courtyard, the fire was no longer just rumor. It was alive. Galani stood there, fresh from the bath, water sliding off every inch of him like nature's own oil. His chest rose and fell slow, like a drumbeat too sacred to rush. Every part of him glowed, not with magic, but with intention. Adisa had seen beauty before, in sculptures, in dreams, in the faces of imagined lovers. But this was living desire. And the worst part, he created it. His own fingers had molded that body, those lips, that curve at the base of Galani's spine, where water now pooled before dripping away. That heavy stillness between Galani's legs, thick, tempting, divine. Adisa watched, breathless from the doorway. He hadn't meant to stare, but he did. And Galani, "You don't have to hide," Galani said, voice low and drenched in heat. "I feel it when you look at me. I feel it in my chest, in my hips, in the way my skin burns when you're near." Adisa stepped forward, slowly, each step like he was walking into a forbidden garden, but it didn't feel forbidden anymore. It felt inevitable. "How do you know what I feel?" Adisa whispered, heart thudding. "Because I was born from your need," Galani replied, turning fully now. "Your desire shaped me. Your hunger gave me breath." He stepped closer, bodies nearly touching now. "I didn't come back just to live, Adisa. I came back because you summoned love and lust in the same breath." Adisa's hands found their way to Galani's waist, almost by instinct. Warm, firm, flawless. "You're not just perfect," he said, eyes heavy with need. "You're mine." Galani smiled, leaning in. "Then take me." Not like a command, not even like an offer, like a prayer. Galani stepped behind Adisa, his body still warm and damp from the bath, water trailing down his chest like temptation. He wrapped his arms around Adisa's waist, slow, firm, deliberate. Adisa exhaled sharply, biting his lip. "More, you feel dangerous." Galani chuckled, low and thick. "And you feel like sin wrapped in silk." Their bodies pressed together, Adisa's soft skin against Galani's hard chest, a perfect fit, like the sculpture had found its sculptor. Galani's hands roamed over Adisa's waist, fingers slipping beneath the fabric with playful hunger. Adisa moaned under his breath, grinding back just enough to tease. "You're lucky I like trouble." Galani's voice was a growl in his ear. "Then hold still and let it ruin you." And in that moment nothing else mattered. Just them, two men tangled in a hush that felt louder than thunder. And in the silence, Adisa whispered, "If this is how clay feels when it's shaped by fire, don't ever let me cool." If your heart's still racing, you're not alone. Let me know in the comments what part made you scream, melt, or lose your mind just a little bit. Don't forget to like, share this video with someone who needs some heat in their life. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Want to get your hands on episode 2 before everyone else? Join the channel membership today for early access and a chance to support these powerful queer stories that deserve to be told. Thank you for watching, and remember, desire is a story too. Let's keep writing it together.